on the Leap of Faith tour. Your show was amazing. We just finished the live performance. That was great.
Thank you so much.
And I said in the live performance, and I'll say it again, that I just met Nathan in person today.
Yes.
But we met through a mutual friend, Ariel, who is just an incredible ball of joy and fun. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Yes.
But how did you first get into music? Like, what was the catalyst that brought you into this field, this adventure?
So when I was young, maybe 6 or 7 years old, this was the era of tapes and CDs, as some of our viewers will relate
Back
to.
in the dinosaur days.
Back in the days before digital. Wow, we're so old, aren't we?
Nope.
refuse to bring it.
I'm over your age and like wine. I'm getting better with time.
That's right. We
saying.
grow better and stronger and more beautiful with age.
Exactly.
That's how it goes. But back in the days of tape and CD, I would go to the library with my dad, and he would say, "Okay, son, you can pick 10 CDs or tapes, whatever you want to get, but you can't get one, or you can't get two in the same genre. So all of them have to be different genres." And what that forced me to do was to take in a multitude of music, a multitude of diverse songs and musical experiences. And we'd go home, and he would play. We'd play each CD, and he'd kind of grill me on it. He was like, "Okay, what do you think about this song? What about that song? What stands out to you about this song? What stands out to you about that one?" And so it really started making me think critically when it comes to music and hearing different things that stood out to me. And so now it's hard to listen to a song without going back to those early days of going, "Oh, what do I like about it? What do I think about this? How does this move me? How does this make me feel? What could I potentially have if I played the song? How would I do it differently?" Mm-hmm. And so that brought me into a mindset of thinking of music as in something to be explored and you just dive deep into, rather than just something that exists around us as just another thing. Well, come on, let's disappear. Take the first train out of here. There's nothing keeping us away. There ain't no reason for us to stay. So do you wanna run? Do you wanna fly? Do you wanna try? My dad got me my first guitar. Okay. And I had no clue how to play it.
Yeah, of course.
and I grew up kind of in a community that was musical, and my dad played guitar, but there weren't as many resources for teaching and learning, etc. So taught myself how to play.
Because you're really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I learned wrong. I will say that. I learned wrong, which ended up working out well for me because I kind of developed a style, not as a guitar player, but as an artist. And so now when I play, I'm doing things that aren't technically correct, so they sound a little different than what you might hear from another player.
It's so funny. Literally yesterday, I was at a cookout for July 4th, and someone was talking about the fact that is how Jimi Hendrix's style evolved, was because he taught himself, and so he didn't know what he didn't know. Yes. He didn't know that this was the wrong way to do it. It sounded good, and he did it, and that, I think, is actually a gift. Because I think when you can enter an instrument or enter music from that standpoint, you don't have these boundaries immediately built up of, I can't do this, I can't play this way, I can't, you know, so, and I think that shows in your playing because it is very unique and it's very distinct.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So it sounds like your dad was a big catalyst of music for you. Like, what was his musical background? You said he played guitar, but what was his other interest in it?
Oh man, he has been just I don't know if paragon is the right word, but in my world he was, just a paragon of music, someone that I looked up to greatly and still do, especially in music. He was both a fan of music, as well as a musician himself, and he never found much confidence in his vocal, though I think he has a beautiful voice, and I'm sure when he sees this he'll laugh at that. Yeah. But I disagree with him there. I think he has a fantastic voice, great ear for harmony. But he's primarily a radio DJ back in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, and he got your heart set. Let me know how you feel. Don't string me along just to unravel it all. Tell me, where is this going? How is it gonna end? Are you gonna keep me or throw me out again? 'Cause if you say that you love me, well then don't walk away. 'Cause if you really mean it, then not just words to say. I can give you what you need. Hey, what do you say? 'Cause I don't wanna hear it any other way. Well, how can I make this better? Please don't walk away. I need your love and assurance each and every day. If you stay, I'm not leaving. That will never change. Yeah. So come close to me, darling, and hear the words that I say. If I say that I love you, then I won't walk away. 'Cause if you really mean it, then not just words to say. I can give you what you need. Hey, what do you say? 'Cause I don't want to hear it any other way. Well, don't let me in if you're gonna push me out. And don't let me in if you're gonna push me out.
So as so you got your guitar, you obviously have this interest in music. Like, as you got older, like, when was the moment that you were like, oh, I have to do this. Like, this is where I want to be.
It's when you kind of find your fate, your destiny, when you try to step away from something and you realize you can't. And I did that for a while. I went into the visual art space, through film and photography, etc. And I got really busy in that space. And it kind of happened naturally that I shifted away from music. But then I started feeling just very incomplete. Like a big part of my life was missing, and I would watch some of those VH1 behind the music documentaries and things like that, and just like I remember staying up late into the night, listening to performances and documentaries, and just longing, having this deep longing for that life and being in the studio. Well, we were just both talking about our mutual love for the boss, Mr. Springsteen. Hey little girl, is your daddy home? And did he go and leave you all alone? I got a bad design. Oh, I'm on fire. Tell me now, baby, is it good to you? And can you do to you the things that I do? Well, I can take you high. Oh, I'm on fire. Sometimes it's like someone looking at the edge and dug a 6-inch valley through the middle of my skull. Well, at night I wake up with my sheets soaking wet and a freight train rolling through the middle of my head. You cool my desire. Ooh, I'm on fire. I got a bad desire. Ooh, I'm on fire. Well, tell me now, baby, is it good to you? Can it do to you the things that I do? Oh, I can take you higher. Ooh, I'm on fire. I was working at a studio in 2009, 2010, when everything kind of changed in the musical landscape, and the studio ended up shutting down, and I was very discouraged, and I kind of that was when I kind of walked away from music, especially, and I went into film and such, and then it was only about a year and a half or two later, when I had been working with a car magazine for a little while and had some great fun with them, but that ended up that magazine ended up folding, no pun intended. And I went into kind of a little bit of a dark night of the soul, where I just, I struggle with depression, and there are certain things that are triggers for that, and lack of purpose is certainly among the top
big one.
Yes. Yep. And I remember just laying in bed day after day after day going, what am I doing here? I want to make stuff, but I can't find my place in all of this. And I ended up meeting some musicians right around that time, who they believed in me and what I had to say musically, and I believed in them and what they had to say. So we started writing some together, and I started realizing, it's like on a hot day, you don't realize how much you want to jump in, the water, when you want to jump in the pool, until you dip your feet in, and it's just like, oh, I gotta just dive right in. You put your feet in, you're just like, you kind of melt. and that was a big moment for me when I started writing with them, and I was like, I gotta go all in.
As you've made those decisions, what's been your biggest hurdle to overcome? Or hurdles, the kind of the biggest things that have either gotten in the way internally or externally?
I would say relying on other people to be, your saving grace in music. And by that I mean, if you're working with someone who, the music can't happen without them, there is a specialness to that, to working with someone who their DNA is in it as much or more than your DNA is. So those are special projects, but relying on those to be everything is incredibly detrimental, and you're not alone. I'm sure you've experienced that.
Yep.
Yeah, and so getting to a point where I say, regardless of if I have falling out, like if I have falling outs with everyone that I'm doing music with right now, God forbid, if that happens, coming to a point where I can say to myself, if that happens, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I learned that in 2014 when I got a little too tightly gripped of the Finding Forward project. Yeah. And there ended up being some creative differences with my bandmates then, and we ended up parting ways. And I remember thinking, well, there goes the heart and soul of the music. It's all gone now. I can't get it back. That special thing that I had is no longer here. Mm-hmm. And then realizing that, it's the cheesy Disney line of, it was inside you all along.
It is.
But it is.
that's why that line comes back in every Disney film, because it is,
it's so important to realize and to take in and to... Heart on the run, leaves a hand on the gun. You can't trust anyone. I was so sure what I needed was more. Tried to shoot out the sun. The days when we raged, so we flew off the page. Such damage was done. I made it through, 'cause somebody knew I was meant for someone. So girl, leave your books by the bed. We ain't leaving this room, no. So someone needs medical help or magnolia. It's cold in this house and I ain't going out to chop wood. Cover me up and know you're enough to use me for good.
So when did the highway become a thing?
That became a thing when I got down to the deepest parts of who I am and looked myself in the mirror and said, you got to fix some things.
Okay, I have to pause you there. How did that journey happen?
That journey happened when I had too tight of a grip on the music. Too tight, I have a very control-oriented personality. I like things to be a certain way, especially in my own life and creations. And it's good when you use that to control yourself and to control your own emotions and to to exert that control over yourself. But it's bad when you start going beyond that and putting that on other people and start trying to control them and trying to fit them in their little boxes. And you're like, you're not in the box. Get in that box.
I want this
Get in the box.
For you.
I built it. Look how well I built this box. It's got dovetail hinges. Stay in the box. and people are not to be put in these boxes.
Yeah.
Each person, and it's silly to say, of course, it's also cliched, but it's like each person exists in so many different amalgamations and expressions. They can't all be pushed into these boxes. So I had to get down into my psyche and say, okay, let's flip this thing on its head. Let's focus the control on inwardly, and let's enjoy people as people. And once I understood that, and I say once I understood, but once I got to a point where it was actionable, because I'm still learning it. I'm still learning that every day. But once I got to a point where I grasped the concept and I could move forward in it, that was when I had one of my band members in the Finding Forward project come forward, or kind of come back into my life, and we started playing together, writing a little bit more. A couple of those songs that I played were co-written with him. And then that was when I met one of my best friends in the whole entire world, Mr. Jordan Minor. And great name, right? Jordan C. Minor, Jordan Calloway Minor.
That's just...
People are like, is that a stage name? Did you make that up?
I want to give his parents a hug. His parents just amazing.
His parents are so very sweet. They are lovely. They are lovely people.
Notes to self: if I ever have children.
That's right. So Jordan, when I met him, he and I had kind of been walking parallel. He was in a band that he'd started called Old Rusty Mandolin, and they were just kind of the Avett Brothers style, really raucous country folk. And Jordan's been playing since he was, basically old enough to walk, pretty much. And he and our bass player in the Highway, Ben, they'd been playing together for years and years. And when I met, he and I had always met, and we were like, hey, we should do music together. We should do music together. You know, those kind of partnerships where you're like, you know, you're always saying that, but it never really happens. Well, we were finally like, okay, we got to make this happen. And we sat down, we started working together, you know, in a session. Showed him some songs, he showed me some songs, and we were like, okay, this is cool.
Up. Like, tell me what the Highway's doing.
Yeah, so with Big Rona and everything that's been going on. The Rona. With the Rona, we've had to, as the entire, you know, industry as a whole, have had to, you know, just adapt and figure out new ways of you know, connecting and sharing and expressing, you know, the music that we have. For the past few months, we have been working on an album.
Nice.
And that will be coming out semi-soon. We haven't set a release date yet.
Okay.
But it's some songs that some new songs, some older songs that we haven't put out yet. That's going to be coming out within the next few months.
Okay.
I can say that within the 2020 year, it's going to be released.
Fine. Cool. So the last question I have for you is, so if you had like a personal quote or a mantra for your life, what would it be?
Oh man, put me on the spot with that one. Lyric. I love it. Let me think about that for a second. So let's see, it was 2000. Yeah, I guess it was 2013. You know, we were talking about cross country, you know, trips, road trips. I was approached by two brothers who I was close. They contacted me and they said, "Hey Nathan, we're wanting to do this trip across the country where we film interviews, asking, you know, both random people that we meet in coffee shops as well as like some planned interviews. We want to ask people what gives them hope." And they said, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Thus began the most transformative and incredible experience of my life. And we set off, we flew out to Oceanside, California, and we drove across the country in kind of a meandering route. And the reason why we took that very specific route was because the boys' aunt, their mom's sister, is an endurance cyclist. She is like one of those badass warrior women that just like she was a kind of an amateur cyclist. She had won some competitions. She was a very, very enthusiastic recumbent cyclist, and she wanted to do something to honor her sister and also raise money for brain cancer research and awareness. And so she decided to compete in the Race Across America, which is a 3,000-mile bike race. And it starts in Oceanside and ends in Annapolis. And you have to, like, that's hard enough, right? Yeah. Imagine doing that in under 11 days.
Oh my gosh.
That's almost 300 miles a day on bicycle. And the rules are...
you followed her route.
We followed her route. We did. She left 2 or 3 weeks later. Once we got back, she left on that trip, and we sent a camera crew along to film her. And we actually ended up releasing a feature film called Hope, and it has footage of her race juxtaposed with her sister's walk with her brain cancer, or her journey, dealing with her cancer, as well as stories of us along the road talking with people.
That's amazing.
It was an incredible experience, and the best part, and this is where it gets to the mantra. Mantra. There you go.
That's how I put it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm gonna defer to you on that one. Where it gets to my mantra was we were in Flagstaff, Arizona, and we were on this little. The landscape out there is incredible, and I remember we went up to the top of this. It's a large, I don't know if they have like mountains out there. It's like a large hill. Yeah. And we climbed up there. We hiked up there with our host, a guy named Dan Fallon, who was Maria's crew chief, the cyclist. Okay. He was her crew chief on the journey. And he's this ultra wise wizard looking fella, white hair and incredibly wise things to say. And we took him up to the top of this mountain or hill, whatever it was. Stood under this tree, and the wind was whipping around, and we were asking him, we were kind of doing an interview with him, and he said, we asked him, what do you do when you feel like you can't keep going? How do you find hope in those moments? And I will never forget, he looked at the camera, and we have all that, this is in the film. He looks at the camera and he said, well, the fact of the matter is that hopelessness is a decision. And every time you take a deep breath and breathe out again, you have another chance. And put your faith to the test. I tore off that dress, and rich men don't hide. Well, I sobered up, and I swore off that stuff forever this time. I thought it'd be me who helped get on, but home was a dream, one I had never seen till you came along. So girl, hang your dress up to dry, we ain't leaving this room. Mercy breeze breaks open wide on the river runs through. Carries this house on the stones like a piece of driftwood. Cover me up and know you're enough to use me for good. And that mantra, hopelessness is a decision, has carried with me ever since that moment on that little...
that's about to make me cry. Oh my God.
And that, I'm going to be getting that tattooed on me at some point in my life. I have to decide when and where. But that was a defining moment in my life, and that's something that I always go back to when things get difficult. I lost my best friend to a car accident. It's been about 1.5 years ago now, and today is actually his birthday. And so, well, thank you. It's been a day of ups and downs emotionally, and really 1.5 years worth of that, and going through that grief with his other friends and his parents has been a transformative experience. But what has kept me going is that mantra. Hopelessness is a decision. Just keep on every day.
Is that film available? For streaming, or where do you find it?
You can find it at hopedocumentary.com.
Easy as that. I'm going to post that in the link because that's really incredible.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I think that thoughts about hope and hopelessness are really the most important in the grief journey. Whether it's your friends that lost your mom or you losing a close friend, you don't understand that journey until you're in it.
That's right.
And I know that I didn't, and the way that my perspective had to change and grow through that experience was both kind of beautiful in a bittersweet way, and sometimes still heartrending. It's been almost 4 years, and there are times where I'm like, wait, was that yesterday? Wait, did that happen? But I think that it really is it's so true that hopelessness is a decision. That you do get to decide. There's so many things that are in our control, and a lot of things that aren't. But we get to decide what we do with them, and I think that's really where the great stories get told. And I'm really just so overwhelmed that you shared that with me. That is, I've got nothing on top of that. And that's so just thank you for taking the time today to meet with me. He comes in, he's made me a cappuccino, which is great because I needed it. I've been sleeping.
Gotta have some coffee. That's right.
But the show was wonderful. When you do have a release date, let me know, and I'll release this with all of this stuff.
Fantastic.
Nathandowdy on Instagram, correct?
That's right. Just at Nathandowdy, Dowdy.
So
I'm used to spelling it on
phone calls. I spell my last name too.
I'm sure.
Thank you for joining us. This is going to come out on the newsletter. This will be on YouTube. this has been just great, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Monty. Thank you.
That is stop number 3 on the Leap of Faith tour. We're going to be at, I'm going to be in Atlanta tomorrow with Dirty South Yankee, and it's going to be a great experience, and I hope that you enjoy all of these adventures with us, and that's it.
Awesome. Woo. Thanks. Bye, guys.
That was great.
Wait 1 minute, don't go out the door. Wait 1 minute, don't go out the door. Let me hold you and wait here for a while. Let me hold you and wait here for a while. This American postcard has me feeling blue. A broken window that I can't see through. Well, these astral skies, they paint me with change. But when you return, will things be the same? Well, it's times like these that I need to be shown how to trust myself enough to walk away. I need your love, but I need to be set free. Gotta find out what it was he saw in me. Yeah. Let me hold you and wait here for a while. Let me hold you and wait here for a while. Well, there's several things I'd like to say to you, but none of them could ever break through to you. No time to look back, only to live and learn. Your love was the bags that I had to earn. Why do I dream of you as I lie awake? I think of what you give and not what you take. From time to time, but I've got to be strong. This rambling man has gotta keep moving on. thank you, Monty. Once again, I'm excited for our interview portion. Thank you, viewers, for checking out this stream. Please remember, I'm gonna do a promo for you now. Please remember to check out all of Monty's upcoming streams. She's going to be in 21 cities after this one, and there's a phenomenal amount of artists she's been telling me about. Some of them that are coming up, and I'm very excited for her and her journey. It's weird. I'm talking about you just barely past you at our little iPhone camera button here. So anyway, this has been wonderful, Monty. Thank you again.
You are so amazing. Thank you so much.
See you guys in a bit.